just a little thing, just as I entered the episode. West Ham are now in financial crisis. All funding has been withdrawn, and the administrators have indicated they will consider any reasonable transfer offers which are made for their club's players. Transfer embargo has been put in this month. The players' wages. They played the player wages, but also played an embargo upon any transfers until the money is spent, and we have been deducted 9 points. That leaves us in the relegation zone, by the look of it. Yes. Every point we've got this season is completely useless. Great. Tottenham next as well.
This is a family. This ain't a football club.
Here we are then at the next episode of the West Ham series. It looks like we are in dire financial straits. We are seeking approval for a CVA, which basically means we're in a debt reconstruction, as our debt has to be reported to be as much as £358 million. 314 of that is net debt, 162.5 is transfer debt. Anyway, since that last episode, it's not been great. Let's go on to a match day and that fixture schedule. Since that 7-2 defeat against Fulham, we have a 3-0 defeat against Spurs, a 2-0 win against Bristol City, who are mid-table, which kind of says a lot, which is the same Bristol City in real life. 0-0 draw against Manchester City. I thought tides were turning, but then Harvey Barnes got a goal, which did have us kind of optimistic. Uche got a little bit of a counter attack, but then as soon as Mateus Fernandes got sent off, it was all Crystal Palace, and then Eddie Nketiah and Jeremy Pino getting a goal to make it 3-1 to Southampton. We did have a board meeting just now, and if I don't win this next game against Liverpool, I could be sacked. Let's have a look at that board meeting quickly. I'm just disappointed for everything. There is the board repayments towards the 190 million CVA company voluntary agreement. Basically, they use it just to keep the club running. Anyway, where was that? Board meeting. To summarise, the board are very disappointed in what you need to do. Overall, the supporters are disappointed as well. It is on the verge of the sack against the Liverpool game. And we are then at this board meeting. The board wished to hold a meeting. We feel the team should have performed a lot better in the Crystal Palace game. I did kind of say by mistake that I would win the next game, not realising we have a Liverpool in our next game. Anyway, with that 9-point deduction, we are on 4 points. A little bit out of the chat for the relegation fight, but with our points deduction, it's not really surprising. At least we're not Leeds, minus 26 goal difference, and 0 points after 13 games. Anyway, this is the team that we're going into. I kind of changed the tactic just to try and get some goals. As you can see, Ollie Watkins has only scored 1 goal. Daniel Mullins only scored 2. But Ramsdale in goal, Todibo, Kelman and Cresswell at the back 3. Neves, Anderson, Durrami, Gibbs-White, and Barnes behind the 2 strikers of Ollie Watkins and Daniel Marlon. Here we are then in the snow against Liverpool. You might see, if we cut to off to highlight, we do get a lot of possession in this, which is kind of my thinking, is just attack. We can't defend to save our lives. Anyway, Durrami on this right hand side, back to Ruben Neves into the box, has a shot. Harvey Barnes gets the header into the back of the net, but he is just offside. Disallowed that goal. In with this in, we have the ball in the back of the net against Liverpool. Promising, but not quite a goal so far. So on this left hand side, Liverpool are literally the best team in the league, so if we beat them, it'll be pretty cool. Works over to Salah on this right hand side. Cuts in, has a shot, and 16 minutes in, Liverpool 1, West Ham 0. Florian Wirtz and Mohamed Salah, 2 of the best teams, 2 of the best players in the league, and just scored at will. Anderson again, forward to Marlon, over to Barnes. Hasn't really got many options. Neves over to Barnes, is in behind. Through ball to Watkins. Ollie Watkins gets his second goal of the season. He finally scores a goal. He's had a lot of stick in the press about not scoring any goals. And when it means the most, Ollie Watkins comes up trumps with only three at the back. Mohamed Salah over to Alexander Isak on the left-hand side. Cuts in, has a shot. Max Kilman does his best, but ends up just putting the ball in the back of the net himself. I'd like to see the team are trying. Harvey Barnes did come out in the press and back me, but honestly, trying to win against Liverpool is a bit tougher a task than anyone really expected. Anyway, we get our kick-off. Anderson to Todibo. Honestly, we're just going to have to outscore Liverpool at this point, which, with our scoring record, it isn't exactly the smartest idea, but it's better than just losing 3-0 and having 2 shots a game. Anyway, Darami on this right-hand side. Over to Neves. Has a shot. Alisson parries it wide. A little bit of an awkward save from Alisson, but I guess it's effective. That's what I like about this formation, is we're actually getting chances if we're actually going to do anything with this. Max Kilman makes a save. Isaac is the most just on his toes in the box. Darami does pick up the pieces on this left-hand side, though. Goes past Sonali. He does get fouled. Elliot Anderson does win it back to Donyell Marlon up front. Ollie Watkins with the assist on this time. Both our strikers have scored in this one. Literally might even save our job at this point. 48 minutes in, just before half-time. Checking the goal from VAR, but it will be the leveller. To the second half, Van Dijk and Robertson. Liverpool don't really like our press. We have a lot of players forward, but Liverpool are pretty potent. Usually pumps it forward towards someone who can't win it. There we are then. Van Dijk wins that pretty easily. Tonali to Etike. Forward to Salah, and Salah's not really going to miss that. Luckily for us, though, he is offside. Salah getting offside just after the half-time whistle. Liverpool press seems to be working a little bit. Luckily, our line with only 3 at the back is working pretty well so far. Neves does step in though. Donyell Marlon has a couple options. Watkins sends him a little bit wide. Pedro Neto forward to Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins shot. Ollie Watkins goal. 76 minutes in, we have the 3-2 lead against Liverpool. The most unlikely result in the world. Just how? I don't get it. And there we are then, the most unlikely result to even happen. West Ham 3, Liverpool 2 gets us a decent 3 points. Still in the relegation zone, but definitely closer to Wolves now. Honestly, this team just has a never say die attitude. If we are genuinely one game away from getting sacked, there's just something about this team that just doesn't want to go down. Well, then into this game against Aston Villa just 3 days later is the Christmas period, so games are 3 days away, not too different. So if the team can beat Liverpool, even though it was an unlikely result, should get a decent result against Aston Villa, but we are West Ham after all. I say attack of the game. Ollie Watkins, risky pass, does go to Darami though. Darami is in behind, has a shot. Mohamed Darami, Aston Villa 0, West Ham 1. 20 minutes in, it looks like the great survival is back on. From Ramsdale, 26 minutes in, still 1-0 to Aston Villa. Over to Yuri Tielemans, just wins that back. Morgan Rogers, decent little tricky winger, puts it in for Ivan Gesand. Not even sure how you do that. How you pronounce that. 27 minutes in, Aston Villa have paid one back. Neves, Darami back to Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins is in behind a little bit. Gibbs White hits the post and goes in. Morgan Gibbs White, who hasn't really been performing the last couple of games. He's one of our better players, so decided to keep playing him, and looks like that's been paid off. First effort, and with the second effort, Morgan Rogers having a shot, decently testing at Ramsdale. Out for an Aston Villa corner though. Harvey Elliott out to take it. Former Liverpool player crosses it in. Donyell Marlon looks like it's going out for a goal kick. Harvey Barnes on this left hand side just before half time, 43 minutes in. Gibbs White, can he get a little chance going? Does get brought down by Onana. Referee will check that for a penalty. Looks like it will be a penalty for us just before half time. Can we get that third goal? I think it's Ruben Neves on penalties. Penalty is awarded by VAR. I think it will be Ruben Neves to take it. Number 17. So, Ruben Neves against, I think it's Emi Martinez, and Ruben Neves puts us 3-1 up just before half time. With the red card and this formation, you'd assume we get another goal from this one, and another 3 points to Aston Villa. First real highlight of the second half. Cross it in to Debo away, only to Matt Cash. Cross back in, away by Neves. Yuri Tielemans picks up the ball. Looks like Aston Villa have the goal in the back of the net, but our three at the back is doing a decent line, and it is, unfortunately for Aston Villa, but luckily for us, offside. A little bit of pressure. As long as we've got the pressure, it's not too bad. Pedro Neto on this right-hand side doesn't have the most options in the world. Can take on his fullback or put a ball into Marlon. Marlon scores his first goal. Both strikers have now scored a goal. Decent ball by Pedro Neto. Daniel Marlon has put us 4-1 up. Looks like 3 points are coming back to the London Stadium. 4. Just to have a little bit of a special episode, we are now on 10 points. If we had 19 points, where would we be? About mid-table. I think that's fair. Anyway, we're going to have a third game in this episode, just because we seem to win on episodes where we actually show the games. Anyway, into that third game. A little bit of a notification in the inbox. The club has successfully negotiated the restructuring of all the remaining debts. Our new financial position will ensure that we still have a remaining competitive force in the future. Net debt going down a little bit. Looks like we're going to pay that until 2036. That's CVA. Not sure about that one. Apparently we're going to pay that until 1900, which was about 1,000 years ago. Here we are, the one change from the last game. Morgan White comes out for Leandro Trossard. Against Leeds, you are bottom of the league. If we don't get 3 points in this one, then I think we kind of deserve to be sacked. Under the snow at London Stadium, Jadon Bogle over to Q, to Tanaka. Ruben Neves launches forward. Daniel Marlon over to Harvey Barnes on this left-hand side. Can he get a decent crossing? He does. Ollie Watkins puts us 1-0 up. 4-0. 4 minutes in. I don't know why I said 4-0. Ollie Watkins with his third goal in 3 games, I believe. Durami, Daniel Marlon on this left-hand side. Forward to Ollie Watkins. Does have a loose touch. Takes him a little bit wide though. Durami to Ollie Watkins. Durami in for Daniel Marlon. 7 minutes in. West Ham 2, Leeds 0. Hold of him. Leandro Trossard to Marlon. Ollie Watkins, loose touch. Ampadu picks up the pieces. Bogle will pick out Dan James on this right hand side. Harvey Barnes will stop him slowly. Slows him down a little bit. Bogle does win it back, Harvey Barnes. Can he get another cross, make it 3-0 for us? Back to Elliot Anderson. Harvey Barnes, little cross. We have the ball in the back of the net, but it is offside. 3-0 isn't quite coming, but looking very potent in this first half. Neves has a shot. Looks like that's gone off the crossbar. Neves definitely has a shot in him, but unfortunately that one for us is off the crossbar. Over to Jadon Bogle. Ruben Neves does win it back though. Pretty tame from Jadon Bogle. Over to Pedro Neto on this left hand side. In behind the forward Daniel Marlon. Can he pick out someone? Does pick out Ollie Watkins. West Ham 3, Leeds 0. Looks like all 3 points are staying with us. Minutes left, almost seconds in this game. And there is the full-time whistle. West Ham 3, Leeds 0. Where is the table? Where does that leave us? Up to 18th. Decent little run of form in the last couple of games. 2 points off Wolves in 17th. Looks like we've got a little bit of form exactly when we needed it. Anyway, that is the end of today's episode. A decent 3-part special. Gonna come back pretty soon, as honestly, it could be one more loss for just keeping our job. Anyway, that is the end of today's episode. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.